Welcome to the d.i.v.o Institute, home of contemporary fine art, international and local, central and decentral in the same time, in the central Czech area.
Be blessed with a lot and lots of children. Amen. And you may kiss now.
My mother's from England and my father's from Luxembourg. My mother is half Dutch and my father is half German. And they met in London. And because my dad got a job in the Swiss bank, they moved to Switzerland. So I learned first English, then French, and in the street I learned German and Swiss German.
Mark was always very active, he rushed around, he had ideas, and he talked a lot.
When I was 25, I decided to be an artist. Before that, I wasn't interested at all in any art. I thought it was stupid. And I was more a political activist and a squatter. So I was organizing big squats.
He was always interested in art, in buildings, that sort of thing. Not sport, definitely not that.
So the squats I was living in were like artist squats. I squatted, I don't know, maybe 100 buildings in Zurich. It's just interesting because you have a whole house and which you turn into an art piece. So squat is actually not really a good term for this thing, because it's actually much more than a squat. Because a squat is only, it's something like, if you say like, well, I live in a 3+1, because it's basically just a technical term of the ownership. And it's not interesting. It doesn't matter if you live in a house which is društevní or osobní, it's all the same, or if it's a squat. But it is a big difference if you are living in a house where the mission is not only to live, but to make a piece of art, a so-called Gesamtkunstwerk, out of the house.
And, this is our kind of summer project.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Because Atte does furniture and I do sculptures, and in the holidays we do things like this.
This is a kind of interactive game. Maybe you can say something about this.
It's a computer game. You steer the car from the angle of the car. So you have the perspective like the driver. But the thing that's good is you don't get hit. It doesn't hurt if you crash.
It's like reality transformed into virtual reality and then back again. So I spent some years in Italy. I was living in Cairo for 1 year. Before I came to Czech Republic, I lived in New York City. I lived in Manhattan. To be precise, I lived in Soho on West Broadway between Houston and Prince. It was the most boring place I ever lived. And not only was it boring, it was expensive, there was bad service, and not a very high quality of life. And also the other thing is there is not really the art scene in New York. It must have been very interesting in the 60s, and there's absolutely nothing going on now.
Well, Dadaism has lots of different meanings, and I guess one of the thing is like there are lots of artists coming together, and everybody is doing their own work, and there is not something like a museum or something like a curator. It's just like this independent work going on. So artists for artists and creating work for other artists and having this some sort of an exchange with other artists. And especially for this dadafestival here, since the title is Wir feiern Zürich ohne Zürich, which means we celebrate Zurich without Zurich, I guess I'm really interested in going to Kolin, not knowing something about Kolin, but meeting here people I know from Zurich and being in another environment and working together with them. So this is for me a challenging work. Yeah.
Můj tatínek měl 2 dcery z prvního manželství a oni jak se rozvedli, tak maminka z těch holek si je vzala zpátky do Mexika a tatínek teda zůstal v Praze, pak si našel moji maminku, ale stala se taková katastrofa tak v Mexiku a ta maminka tam umřela. A tím pádem táta se jako snažil samozřejmě ty svoje dcerky získat zpátky, ale musel tam jezdit se soudit. No a to byl důvod, proč jsme odjeli do Finska, protože se z Československa v té době jako špatně jezdilo. No a v létě 2005 jsem se rozhodla, že přijedu do Prahy na léto. A vlastně tohle léto jsme se s Markem seznámili. A to bylo v Kinském paláci dole, kde on dělal vlastně při tom mezinárodním bienále, Knížákovo bienále 2005, tak tam dělal Real bienále dole. Protože já jsem taky takový sběratel a tak to tam bylo takový podobný, že jsem vždycky dělala takový domácí instalace, v kterých jsem pak jako pobývala a furt jsem někde něco sbírala, jak v bazarech, tak v kontejnerech a různý možně od různých babiček a tetiček a tak dále. A tak mi to přišlo takový jako, že se musím s tím člověkem seznámit.
Very interesting installation by a Zurich artist called Raphael Perret. I have to hold up the church and have to beware of protesters and share the dream. Don't try to blow out the flame and spoil all the fun. But I have to be careful, there's also shit. I lived in Prague for 2 years and I did also some projects there. I did one project called Process.
Měli jsme k dispozici asi 2,5 tisíce metrů čtverečních jedné haly v Holešovické tržnici, kterou jsme během 3 měsíců podobným procesem, který probíhá tady na baráku, zabydleli a vlastně vytvořili to, čemu říkáme obytná skulptura.
So this worked actually very nice. But nowadays the sad thing is that all these metropoles are getting very similar. So you can, if you go into a time tunnel and from Prague to Paris and to New York and Tokyo and maybe even Shanghai, you won't even know that you've been there, or you won't know any difference, because everything is getting like very much the same. So in Switzerland, there's what we call globalization, that everything gets the same. It goes into every little village. I mean, here it's also a problem. You have Tesco, you have Obi, you have Kaufland, all these terrible places. But it's not like that's like everything is normed, you know, like every street is exactly this and this wide, it's totally clean, everything is repaired. No, there's a lot of things which are still to be done in this country. And that makes it an interesting country. Switzerland is a country where everything is finished. In the Czech Republic, you still have some opportunities. So I decided to do the correct thing in this situation, and that is to go to these places where nothing is going on. And I think Kolin is exactly such a whole. And I think that contemporary art will be more appreciated and better received in a place like this than in any metropole in the whole world.
Wherever I go, I look around for broken things and I try to come up with some sort of an idea of how to repair those broken things. So mostly it's in public or urban space. Well, early this week when I arrived here in Kolin, I was the first day I spent riding around with a bike and taking pictures from broken things, and I discovered this shade here that disappeared somehow, so it was not here. And I took a picture because I had the idea it would be nice to fix that. And when I drove around with the bike a little longer, I discovered that the shade was lying somewhere else. So I took it home, I was cleaning the shade, I was repairing the holes in the shade itself, and then I took it back one night and fixed it here.
Který umělecký dílo je potřeba zničit.
No.
Dearly beloved, do you take this beautiful piece of jewelry to be your lawful wedded
that is very good. Yeah.
earring?
Yes.
And do you take this blonde vision to be your lawful wedded husband?
Yeah.
In that case, you may kiss me!
Here's a sound installation.
Je to zvuková inštalácia, ktorá je vlastne javiskom, pódium pre ďalších hudobníkov, aby tu hrali, a je to vlastne o priestorovom zvuku, ktorý sa tvorí ako keby chaoticky tým, že diváci sami vytvárajú v tej hudbe priestor, takže je to vlastne zážitok z hudby naviac.
Czech Republic. I live 50% of the time here, and 50% minimum I live in Switzerland. That's also important for me because I have all my connections there. I do my what you might call business in Switzerland, which means I make art in the public space. We, as a group, different artists from Zurich, we reopened the Cabaret Voltaire in 2002 by squatting it. The Cabaret Voltaire was empty for a long, long time. I'm talking about the historical Cabaret Voltaire in Spiegelgasse in Zurich. And it was, as we all know, like from art history, Cabaret Voltaire is the place where Dadaism started in 1916. And it was not really done by Swiss people, because it was immigrants living in Switzerland, mainly Germans, Romanians, French people, all kinds of people who were escaping the First World War. And they founded Dadaism. So the whole story why this location was empty has also to do with the fact that there used to be a disco there, which was very loud. There's been a disco and a bar there for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's a traditional place where people always came to drink. But because lots of rich people are buying up the old city of Zurich, and there's no many normal people there, there's only offices and people with lots and lots of money, they want to keep the city quiet, so they don't want to have anything going on there. So they fought a lot that this disco was closed, and that is the reason why the location of the Cabaret Voltaire was empty for 1.5 years. And we came there to make this art action, which we call the first Dada festival in the historical Cabaret Voltaire. While we did this festival, we always told everybody that we are not Dadaists. We said we are against Dadaism. We are anti-Dadaists. We never claimed this name. This was the term which was given to us. And this here is the piece which maybe interests you, like. Because this is our, in fact, television aerial, as we have no television. Because everything is under process, and the process is interesting. Der Weg ist das Ziel. Le chemin, c'est le fin. And the path is the goal.